Who would be the president of Africa if the continent was united as one giant superpower? When the original Pan-Africanists, the freedom fighters, achieved their generational mandate, which was to acquire colonial independence, they thought that the colonial power's grand plan to continue harvesting Africa of its precious resources to fuel their own development had suddenly ended. They were extremely naive to believe this bold-faced lie. But not all Africans were so easily fooled. One legendary African president, Thomas Sankara, while addressing the heads of state at the African Union, formerly known as the Organization of African Unity, in a manner similar to a biblical prophet, Sankara told the African presidents, "Aluta continua, comrades. The struggle continues." The colonial powers never changed their agenda. They just changed their modus operandi. It shifted from colonize and conquer Africa to divide and conquer Africa. The colonial masters were in charge of the educational systems all across the African continent, and they used brainwash education on the Africans to make them respect and nearly worship the borders that they themselves drew at the Berlin Conference of 1884. Needless to say, not even a single African was present at the drawing of these so-called borders. Years out, the divide and conquer strategy used on Africa operates. At the signing of the independence treaties, the comrades thought they were merely just receiving their independence. But unbeknown to them, with malice intent, the comrades were actually being given the most powerful and intoxicating drug known to mankind, the elixir of power. The comrades had a taste of power, and so it began the curse of the African revolutionary. Drunk with power, the African revolutionaries would either become greedy and corrupt, either that, or they would hold on to power for way too long, thereby destroying their legacies. But even if they didn't fall prey to these temptations, like Thomas Sankara, the most upright president, the imperial powers would plot coups and assassinations to make sure that only the visionless, power-hungry, and incompetent Africans would rise to positions of power. So now, despite having all the resources required for development, there is still little to no development across the African continent. Instead, we have a crowd of egotistical individuals whose only ambition in politics is to be called Mr. President. They have no vision for the development of the African continent. The reason we don't develop is that our countries, instead of working together, they compete against